I know I just released a video a few days ago, but a deck I ordered a little while ago arrived in the mail just today, and I am very excited to take a look at it with you. This is a deck I was not familiar with, and apparently it was crowdfunded and then released as an open edition on Etsy. It comes in a velveteen drawstring bag. This is the Moon Power Tarot from a California based artist. It is in a two-piece box, and it does come with what is labeled a guidebook, but it really is just a folded kind of a pamphlet type piece of paper, so it's not highly informative if you're looking for insight in how to read the cards. So we will set that aside. So once I saw the card illustrations, I knew I had to have this. So my taste in cards, it's a little hard to explain. I love illustration. Comic book style art. I love colorful art. I like things that are a little avant-garde. I like gothy style decks, but simply slapping some vampires in a deck and calling it a goth style deck is not good enough for me. So my tastes tend to, if you just kind of collected all of my decks together and say what do they all have in common, it might be a little hard to say, but I tend to like decks that are a little edgy. And so when I saw this, I'm like, yes, this is a deck for me. And so when I opened it up, I'm so excited. So let's walk through this together. I am just, my hands are itching to see this. So right away, this is a pretty standard sized tarot. Right away, the colors are so vivid. It is printed so well. Let's get into it, and I'll describe some of the cardstock and production value, because I want to see these cards so badly. Okay. There is this fantastic space being, otherworldly, queer sensibility to this deck that I really resonate with. It's it's just so luscious and outrageous. And it really speaks to where I am right now as a person, and I think even as a reader, on the kind of reading I want to do with people. And I feel like this fills a gap in my card collection. And if you've watched several of my videos, you've probably seen, or you've probably heard me say that I'm not a collector as such. I don't consider myself a collector. I'm a reader first, and I acquire decks that I feel I'm going to use as a reader. And I I I don't know exactly, well, I do, like, it's a feeling. I have a hard time articulating exactly what kind of readings I want to do with this, but I have the feeling of the kind of readings I want to do with this. Excuse me. I want to work with some queer clients. I want to do maybe some channeling work with this. Maybe some deep intuitive and personal self dialogue with this. Like, I know there's been a lot of very excited conversation among tarot enthusiasts about the Starman Tarot. And personally, that does not do a lot for me. This deck does a lot for me. Like for me, this is the Starman Tarot. This is a deck that is trippy and hyperdimensional and just very, very exciting and very, very stimulating in a way that for me, the Starman Tarot has never really been. And in fact, I got to talk about the Starman Tarot a little bit with some tarot enthusiasts over this past weekend. And a few people asked me, oh, so what do you think about the Starman Tarot? And it came up in conversation a few different times. And it's not the deck for me. It's beautiful. It's gorgeous. It's, an artistic achievement, I think, but it doesn't say anything to me. This deck is for me, I think, what the Starman Tarot is probably for certain other people. And when I saw this after several months of just kind of tooling around online, hoping to find my next deck, the deck that would take me into a new venue of reading for myself and reading for others, I am very, very excited to have found this. And unfortunately, a lot of indie decks are just hard to find. And that's what makes them kind of fun and kind of exciting, because the thrill isn't this wonderful? Yes, I am just an old school Sailor Moon fan. One of my good friends was from Hong Kong when Sailor Moon was originally airing in Japan, and so she introduced me to the characters, and we would draw them, and this was like, oh gosh, 96, 95, 96, and yeah, and so this is gorgeous. I love this. Oh, this is so exciting for me. Yeah. And so yeah, that's what makes indie decks so exciting, but also very frustrating, is that you can't just really roll up to your local witch shop and just say, oh yeah, I need a deck that is thrilling and stimulating and also very easy to find. And you don't always get that, but it makes a lot of these independent decks really treasures in their own way. And, that's absolutely in no way a slam against mass market decks. My typical deck that I read with is, excuse me, a mass market deck, and that's my go-to deck. Tarot of the Sweet Twilight is what I read with, kind of as a standard. That's really cool. But I find myself really drawn to a lot of independent decks because they represent so closely the artist's vision of what their deck could be and should be. But there's the obstacle of funding, and how do you connect with your audience, and how do you connect with your market? And unfortunately, that means that a lot of independent decks are quite cost prohibitive and go out of print very quickly. I've been real lucky to own several really nice ones over the years. Oh, there's Black Lady. That's so cool. So the cardstock is pretty typical glossy tarot stock. It's not linen weave. It's just pretty standard. It's nothing to get outrageously excited about, but it's also not going to, fall apart on you either. What makes this deck a little more exciting and also adds to the price somewhat is this very nice gold embossing, or this gold metallic effect on the side. But it also doesn't affect the flexibility of the cardstock, which is very exciting to me because I have a number of gold and silver edge decks that are very inflexible and that have taken, oh, did we, here, let me go back to this card a little bit so you can see it a little bit better. Yeah, I have a few decks that have metallic edging on them that are just very inflexible and very hard to work with initially right out of the box. One caution, or one issue to keep in mind with this is that, and I imagine it's the metallic effect, there is a very strong scent of, I don't know exactly, maybe latex or something. There's a very, very strong chemical something scent. And so I just left this deck on a windowsill for, a couple hours and let the scent disperse for a while. And it's still noticeable, but it's definitely off-gassing a lot faster than I would have expected for as strong as the scent is. So if you are scent sensitive, especially sensitive to chemical fragrances, then this is a deck that you will want to isolate for a while if you choose to purchase it brand new. That's really nice. And I just can't get over how vivid these colors are. And I'm not sure if it comes through real well. The colors are pretty true to life on the camera. Checking it. I think the colors might be just a little darker in person than they're showing up on camera, but I can't quite tell. But also the detail on the background is showing up a little better in person than it is on the camera. That's cool. There's this wonderful retro 70s look to it, like 70s sci-fi art from Europe. This artist also has a second tarot deck. I believe it's called Star Power Tarot. And it's a little more colorful. It's a little more psychedelic. Like this one is very black dominant. There's a lot of black use, a lot of use of black, like in the backgrounds. And the Star Power Tarot has a lot of yellow, a lot of solar type colors. And I am also very interested in that deck. I don't know if ultimately I will purchase that one also. I might watch some walkthrough videos and see how I feel about it as a whole. Because, let's see, with shipping, this one costs just over $70 US. So, yeah, it's a chunk. Yeah, it costs a bit. Even for an indie deck, it was kind of a lot, especially since it's not linen cardstock or anything. But I think a lot of that is for this really good metallic edging. And it does look really nice, but like, I'm not someone who really gives a damn about metallic edging. That's not a feature that does much for me. I'm kind of here for card quality and for beauty. And I guess metallic edging is part of what makes a deck beautiful. but it's not a feature that, like I said, does a whole lot for me. But some people love it. That is really cool. Oh, wow. So as you can probably see, this deck definitely pulls a lot from the Rider-Waite-Smith composition style. Nope, I skipped a card. But it's not a Rider-Waite-Smith clone by any means. So I think you could easily make this a highly intuitive deck or develop your own system for interpretation. There's K9. Oh, that's an interesting card. All right, and we'll look at the back. This is a fully reversible back. And we will line it back up again. I do believe this artist decks are available a few other places online aside from Etsy. I did do some hunting around just to see what else might be available from them. But the other retail outlets I found seem to have all of their work out of stock. So I would suggest going straight to Etsy, since that seems to be their primary outlet for all of their work. And it does seem to be where their work is like in stock. As far as international ordering goes, I have no idea. You'd have to check the Etsy listings or contact the artist directly for that kind of information. Yeah, it is a more expensive deck. You might be able to arrange a swap with someone. I have no idea. I love this. I fell in love with it on site. I didn't even bother to watch any walkthrough videos or look for tons of sorry, I'm just looking at all the pictures. I didn't even really bother to look for a lot of photographs, a lot of deck photographs, to see really what was in there for me, because I saw the pictures and I was like, no, this is what I want. This is what I've been looking for. And I am so excited to own this. I know I'm going to get a lot of use out of it. I can't wait to start reading for people with this. It does have that shiny quality. You can see it kind of glaring on the cards here just with my overhead light and with some light from the window. This feels to me like a very queer-friendly deck, a very like extra dimensional deck. I don't even know like what words I can use for this, but it's very beautiful. It's very juicy. It's very interesting. Let's see how it shuffles. Yeah, pretty standard. Nothing nothing unexpected here. Sure looks nice. I do like the way that gold looks when it shuffles. Very cosmic. Oh, this is fun. Yeah. Yeah, I'm so into doing a reading with this. Just immediately. Okay. Yeah. I'm going to put this down so I can focus on finishing this video. Okay, once again, this is the Moon Power Tarot by Charlie Quintero, and you can find this deck on Etsy. Go check it out if your interest has been piqued. Thank you very much, and I'll catch you next time.